broadcast network, AfterBuzz TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AfterBuzz TV, the destination for TV superfans, producing aftershows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows, interviewing celebrities and showrunners, and bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Hello, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. fans. Welcome back to the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. After Show here on AfterBuzz TV. Oh, I'm pretty pumped. Can you tell? This is episode 206, A Fractured House. I'm Matt Lieberman. Joining me as always, the panel is all here. Megan Salinas is here.
Hey, everybody.
Joyce Ajouri is here.
Hi, guys.
And Zach Wilson is here.
Hey, guys. I'm in such a great Marvel mood today.
I know.
Nothing can bring me down.
So, folks, at the end of the show, obviously there was a big Marvel announcement this week. First of all, we had the Avengers 2 Age of Ultron trailer leak early, late last week. We're going to be talking about that. And there was a massive Marvel event today that Zach attended.
Yeah.
And they detailed their whole slate of movies from now until 2019. Is that correct?
Yes, 2019.
2019. Also at the event, Zach, if you want to hold it up real quick, or is it off camera?
Well, it's off camera right now, but I can reach it.
Okay, reach it. Yeah.
Okay.
So
really cool.
they gave away these exclusive Black Panther conceptual design, conceptual art posters at the Marvel event, and we are giving Zach's away on the show. We're going to be doing a contest, and we're going to give the details of that later in the show. So you got to stick around till the very end to find out how to win this awesome, very exclusive Black Panther poster.
Yeah, they only gave these out to people at this event.
Yes.
This will never be
made again.
It's
exactly.
It's really cool concept art. It's
beautiful.
Awesome.
It really does.
Yeah. So we're going to be talking about all that at the end of the show. But first, of course, we have to talk about this episode of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., A Fractured House. We'd been waiting, I think, or at least I had been waiting, I'm pretty sure you've been waiting too, for a Ward episode. Because we really only started to dig into who he was in the last quarter of last season. We had that great flashback episode where we saw his relationship between him and Garrett and found out how he got pushed into joining Hydra in the first place. And we had the story of the well from way back when. And now finally we're following up on it with the inclusion of Tim DeKay as Christian Ward, which I hadn't seen coming at all.
No way. Me neither. I even almost forgot that Ward had an older brother. Mm-hmm. I was like, oh, that's right. He didn't just have the younger one that got killed back in the day.
They did a really good job of kind of setting this up pretty subtly because, they had Talbot mentioning the senator and everything like that. And if you don't remember Ward mentioning that he had a brother for a senator.
A senator for a brother?
That's what I meant. It's late. But yeah, if you don't remember him mentioning that, that line just goes right by you. But now it's like, oh, snap. Dang it.
And Tim DeKay, I think, just does an amazing job with this character, especially as we're cross-cutting between him kind of seducing Coulson and Ward talking about how good his brother is at deception and how much better he is than even what Ward was capable of. And Ward tricked us all. And the fact is, as much as I want to believe Ward, it's played ambiguously enough that you honestly can't decide for sure who's telling the truth.
And they're brothers from the same cloth. Is that the saying?
They're cut from the same cloth.
They're cut from the same cloth, so it's like they must have that down pat, both of them, to be as deceptive as they are.
Did you ever hear the story about, you come to a fork in the road and there are two people there and one says they tell only truth and one says that they tell only lies? And there's a couple versions of that, where it turns out that they're both liars and things like that. That's kind of how I feel about this cutting back and forth, is that we can't really trust either of them.
It's a brilliant scene. You gotta give it to everyone involved, the directing, the editing, the writing. It's just these are truly brothers, and it's scary because we know we don't like Ward right now. But I feel like that makes me want to dislike the brother.
Right. Well, that's the thing, is we should dislike Ward, but at the same time, his flashback episode, all that information, that emotional information that we have, that we are armed with, that the rest of the team does not have, makes their reaction to him. I keep forgetting that we're supposed to hate him.
Yeah.
Because I'm just sort of like, no, you guys don't understand. He got pushed into this. This wasn't what he wanted. He tried to save Fitz and guys, no,
This can't
Simmons.
be a lie.
Exactly.
Well, and they just if Ward's brother is actually telling some portion of the truth, it's possible that Ward kind of created that well scenario in his own mind. Like, if his brother is being honest, and I'm not saying that he is, but it's very possible that Ward created like some sort of dissociative disorder because he said he saw something, behind his brother's eyes and then it went away. So it's very possible that maybe he thought his brother was forcing him to do it, but it was some weird split personality.
No, go ahead.
I just read something where this is a real thing where, like, the more you remember something, the more you remember a memory, the more it changes in your mind, the less it becomes closer to what actually happened. So that might be what Ward went through. And also trying to decide like who to believe. It was hard for me to want to believe the brother, to believe Christian. I wanted to, just because I hate Ward right now. But it's like we only have Ward's side of the story. We only have Ward's life that we've seen. We don't really know Christian's side.
And then this sob story that may or may not be true.
Exactly.
I'm tempted at this point to believe Ward's story. At least I think that Ward is being honest to the best of his abilities.
Yeah.
Like, he's being straight as far as he knows. He might be a straight up sociopath. They're just like, if he's going to be a true villain on this show, if we're going to eventually treat him as a supervillain of sorts, like, he would have to have something wrong upstairs to fit in with the way the MCU handles bad guys. Like, there's always something good and something bad, and there's a tick off upstairs. But I don't trust his brother at all.
Yeah, I don't trust his brother at all, but at the same time, he really is seducing Skye with the stuff about her father in that scene in this episode. Like, he is not 100% clean, and I think that that's one of the beautiful things about this episode, is that they don't play it, it's not crystal clear. It is murky. There are arguments to be made for both sides, and that's something that I don't think this show would have done in season 1. And I think it's a testament to how mature the storytelling has become in such a short time.
And they did it so well here. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's good.
We also got this intense opening sequence at the UN with crazy disintegrator mines, which were
Splinter bombs.
horrifying and great effects. Again, great effects.
I mean, it's a fascinating look at. It's the same way that Hydra used the Tesseract to make weapons. It's like it's like an effect that they've distilled into like a small weapon. Instead of like a gun, it's a mine.
It's a weird mine.
Well, and that was the things that they were talking about in the previous episode before Simmons' cover was blown, where they were asking whether or not they thought it could be weaponized, and she says, "Yeah, I think that's a possibility." And here we see it in action.
Well, this is a different thing from the diviner being weaponized.
Oh, okay.
This
Never
is
mind.
something based on a design from the 1940s.
Yeah.
So it's old tech.
That's what threw me off, I guess, a little bit. Is it seems to have the same effect as the obelisk.
Well, the obelisk did not disintegrate people.
just turned them, like,
it converted
to
them, into another form of matter. It did not actually cause them to disintegrate into ashes.
Did it not? I mean, I guess maybe it's the first stage effect that I'm reminded of, at least in the way that the special effects were handled. It looked very similar.
It's a similar color. Absolutely. Anyone could be confused by
They're
it.
probably from the same alien source, then, if that's the case.
Possible.
Yeah.
I love this sequence. I love the threat posed by Scarlatti and his fake S.H.I.E.L.D. agents. Scarlatti is apparently Whiplash in the comics, but not the same Whiplash that is in this same universe.
Yeah, he's another Iron Man villain. I don't know the whole details if it's like the same, if somebody just picked up the same mantle that the old one had, but he's called Whiplash, and he defeats Iron Man at one point.
Right.
And then he goes to jail. I don't know which one's which.
That's
But
okay.
it's not the same guy.
Not the Russian guy.
And they never call him Whiplash in the show, so I think we can just not call
He's
him.
just Scarlatti.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's just Scarlatti.
He's scary with that knife. Though.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that
And that
knife on a
crazy
chain
hairdo.
was dope. And the crazy hairdo was pretty cool.
It was nice,
if
but
I could
it
pull that
fits
off,
that whole military
Yeah.
kind of evil
That's true.
look.
we got a little bit. We got a tease of Hunter and Bobby last week, and now we got to see them in action together, adding some much needed levity to the
Yes.
show. It's funny. One of my biggest critiques of the show when it started was the show is called Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but the team only really had 2 agents. And it's nice that we have so many agents this season and that we can actually send a team of badasses to go take out a small army. And that a shootout actually makes sense as a plan of attack instead of having to worry about having Fitz and Simmons there being a liability or Skye not quite knowing what to do and like going in for her first mission undercover or something like that. In this case, we've got 3 trained assassins and spies going in and infiltrating this dude's compound in Japan. And I loved seeing the 3 of these folks together.
That's a really good point.
The
Yeah.
dynamic of it is fantastic because they have a mission, they're good at their jobs, but at the same time they got stuff to talk about.
issues.
Yeah,
They're
Got a
such
lot of
children.
history. It was so funny, and I have to say, I think May is the best person to put with those 2 because
Right.
she has the best reactions. She knows how to respond. Like when Morris was asking her, "You ever been married?" It's like you ever talk
Good
to him?
advice.
Yeah.
She doesn't have to say a word, but she says so much to these 2.
But Bobby goes in for like the girl talk moment, and May's just like, "Are you
You
know I don't like
You know
you,
who I
right?"
am."
Yeah.
You know I don't like you. It's so funny.
And I gotta chalk it up. Whoever's in charge of Bobby's wardrobe, A+. Like, first of all, opening on the Star Wars V-neck.
Yeah, that was not lost on anyone.
Yeah. I was just like, wait, I saw it and my brain
So
processed
fanboying
it,
right now.
and then I just went, wait, did I really see that? And they like come back around.
Bro, this Disney synergy is just paying off in dividends for geeky
Everyone.
boys everywhere.
Co-branding.
Yeah.
But also just her outfit, like her military outfit,
Right.
her like when
Her
she
go
suits
outfit,
up,
yeah.
it's fantastic. It's perfectly like legitimate as like a warrior's like thing, and it has sort of a ninja look to it, which works with her sticks.
Yeah.
And it's super functional next to being
That's the
really
word I was
attractive.
looking for.
Exactly. But that's the thing is it's very uniquely her, and it is plausible as a field suit, but at the same time like looks great on camera, like the same way that one of the reasons why I'm happy with the Flash show, and I know it's verboten to talk about DC shows.
Blasphemy.
I know. But at the same, one of the reasons why I like it is because the Flash suit doesn't suck, and like a
That is a
good
fair
costume in a superhero show, good costume isn't half the battle, but it's at least 10%.
I read that Mockingbird's uniform is pretty close to what it was in the comics, except they took out the white because obviously it wouldn't look good on camera. But the gray was the perfect touch. Like it looks much more badass than it would if it were white, in my opinion.
Yeah, and she's again with the stun sticks.
Yeah.
Again, I guess that's just her fighting style is dual batons.
Yeah, or they can be a bow staff as
sweet.
well. I was waiting for. I thought they were gonna do
mean
it
they
when she's
connect?
fighting. Yeah.
But they would have if she hadn't lost one,
Yeah.
and then Hunter had to hand her another one, and she kept track. He
her
saved
like a
her life
chair
3
light.
times. Yeah.
I will
Well, she
say,
remembers the little details.
Yeah. I will say their banter kind of like, at some point I was like, okay, you guys, this is the most inopportune time to have an argument or to like remind each other of how terrible you were to each other.
Yeah, and maybe it's like a little cliche to have like the people who are or were in a relationship having an argument while they're fighting a bunch of dudes.
Yeah.
But it's that's like one of those
Mr. and Mrs.
cliches
Smith much?
that's like classic for a reason because it is fun to watch. I think it's just as long as we continue to tap the brake on it and we don't do too much, I feel like it's great. I think this episode was very much about establishing their dynamic, and we're gonna like pull it back a little bit.
That's true.
And tease it out for the rest of the season. But these two crazy kids have got to get back together.
Do
you think? I don't know. They still love each other. They're just crazy idiot kids. We don't know why they broke up.
Kiss.
Every time one of them walked away from the other, they always had this like smile, like, "Oh, you still like me. I still got this."
I think that's
it's still there.
Well, that's the thing, is I don't think that their marriage crumbled over a lack of love. I think it's just when they're together, it gets highly self-destructive. And I think that
fuels their passion.
Exactly.
In ways that many other relationships never reach that peak of destruction.
Exactly, because they could kill each other, literally. Hobby
really
is definitely going to be a very interesting
Hobby.
Very interesting OTP. Yeah. Bunter. Mocking hunter or hunting bird.
That's a good
I like
one.
that.
Hunting bird.
So pleased.
All right. Before we move on, because we got so much more to talk about, I want to talk iTunes. Folks, you blow me away with your incredibleness. This week alone, we received 17 new iTunes reviews, which is huge. And right now we're sitting on 190 ratings on the iTunes store.
Wow.
I see no reason why we can't continue to jack this number the F up. And I will tell you why. Because here at AfterBuzz TV, we put out over 80 hours of after show content every single week. It's a massive undertaking. I say it every week because it's the truth. A lot of moving parts, a lot of people doing a lot of work to give you the widest array of after shows on any platform, anywhere on the web. And they're all free. We try to get them to you on time every single week. And the best way to support us is to go to iTunes and leave those ratings and leave those reviews, because that's how we attract our sponsors. That's how people know that this is a show to be trusted, a show to be listened to, a show to be watched. And, you also get a great shout out here on the show. Now, because we don't have like hours and hours of time to talk about all this great stuff, and we have 17 new reviews, I'm just going to read your names. I apologize, but that's what we got to do to save on time. Thank you so much to Louie Louie, Mama Little 7, Thistlethorn, EC from DC, Jilly Bean 729, Elbaz, Generation Klutz, Bobo 678922, Reflex 123, Red Fox 125, Fan Since Stained Dress, Headley Lamar, that's Headley, Mario Rivera Film, USDVB 11, T Gannon 26, Gamer Girl 2330, Arwensha, Jason from Cali, Photo Freak 83, and that is all of them. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you guys.
Yes,
Especially Headley Lamar.
yes. No, it was Headley Lamar. That's Headley. Headley Lamar ... That's Headley. I love that. So folks, please continue to send in your ratings and reviews, and stick around to the end of the show where we're going to detail the iTunes review contest to win the Black Panther poster. All right,
be worth it.
It is. Now,
I'm just gonna put it up here.
Yeah.
Just so you don't forget.
Before we circle back to Sky and Warden Coulson, I want to talk about Fitzsimmons and Fitzmac and everything that's going on here. We finally got the scene that we wanted to see all season long, where Fitz finally comes out and says, "Why did you leave? Why did you leave?" And she can't even bring herself to say it. And it's such a bummer to see these two not in sync. But she's treating him with kid gloves. Mm-hmm. He's insulted by it. He's still hurt by the fact that she left it all. He's still hurt and confused. And yet he's got this great vibe going with Mac. They work so well together. How do we feel about this? What are you guys thinking? How'd you feel?
Oh, go ahead.
I'm curious to know how much of Fitzsimmons saw before she left, because to me, it seemed like not much time passed from when he woke up to when she left. So I wonder how much she was around him to understand that she was really hurting him instead of helping him. But, I mean, I get what she meant, what she was telling him. I kind of felt that way. Like, she felt bad enough that she had to go and leave and everything. But the fact that he realized that she was lying made me so sad. Lying about where she went.
Yeah.
Well, Okay.
Megan, go ahead.
I was just wondering if he even realizes how much she's hurting him, because he obviously missed her so much and cares deeply about her still. But again, they're not really working well together for a number of reasons, and I wonder if part of that is because maybe part of him is starting to resent the fact that those feelings weren't reciprocated. And
I think it's beyond starting. He is mad. That's why he's the most mad.
Yeah, I mean, he's had time to fester on that, and that's the problem. Without her there, he couldn't deal with that as, like, that's a heavy emotion to carry around with no one. He's not going to go telling his teammates about it, like his only friends and, like, the people he works with and sees every day.
But he told Mac and Hunter, and the way that he did it was just sort of like, yeah, I had a girl, but, I told her how I felt, and she just freaking left. Like,
oh yeah, when he had the beer in his hand.
Yeah, exactly.
But before he did that, I mean, that was all festering and building up, and, like, the resentment towards Simmons just grew and grew and grew. So when she shows up and doesn't, not that it's that she doesn't reciprocate, because I don't think Fitz is that shallow-minded, but that she doesn't seem remorseful. Like, she's sorry, but only surface sorry. Like, she thinks she did the right thing, and it kind of is very clear.
Like, maybe it was more selfish than really helpful for Fitz.
Or at least, in his mind. Because she hasn't explained it yet. I feel like when she walks away from that conversation, especially after she talks to Mac, I get it, because the truth is something that Fitz will not be able to accept. It's something that he really won't be able to handle. That I left, saying that I left because I was hurting you or because I think you needed me gone, he's not going to believe, not one bit, because he wants her there. So the fact is, the road to reconciliation is definitely going to be a rocky one.
Totally.
Well, and she's, when we get to the end of the episode and she says, "Why do you think I left?" Just the way she said it, she's hurt too. And the fact that they've created this bond, it's good for Fitz, Mac and Fitz. It's good for Fitz because he needs a relationship like that. He needs somebody to bond with. But you can definitely tell it hurts her because that's what their bond used to be.
Yeah.
Well, it feels like seeing Simmons in this episode, I think more than any other, it feels like she's aged like 10 years. Just in, like, the way she carries herself and, like, and interacts with Fitz. She seems 10 years older, whereas Fitz, through no fault of his own, lost like 5 years from his, like, maturity. Just he's not capable anymore. So that forces him into a kid-like role. And because she's now, because she's been put in these life and death situations partially, and also just forced to deal with what's just going on with Fitz, like, she's this older woman who's just, like, got so much pain to deal with, and she doesn't know how to handle Fitz in the state that he's in.
Although I did love the way she told off Ward, though, at the end. That shows exactly, how far she's come, from the person that she was.
Again, I'll kill you.
But part of me was like, really, you worked for Hydra for a spell, like.
But as a double agent.
I know, but she was there.
But that's the thing, is like,
wasn't he? Also
Yeah, but she didn't kill anybody. She didn't kill anybody.
He was a double agent for Hydra. He was a double agent for Hydra who kicked her out of a plane. But here's the thing.
Her.
You bring up an interesting point. You bring up an interesting point because she did get to see behind the curtain. She was in Hydra. She met the kind of people who work for Hydra. But it would be different if she met people who worked at Hydra and were conflicted about it and were just sort of like, well, there's nowhere else for me to practice super science at this level. And to get this kind of pay, I just try not to think about what they're doing. No, it was the guy who she said it's going to kill millions of people. He's like, I know, isn't it awesome? It only reinforces for her why she hates
That's
war.
true. The idea that anyone in that organization is instantly bad, like, that's just a universal truth to her.
They're either like Whitehall, who are just these megalomaniacal. That's the word.
Megalomaniacal.
Just these terrible supervillains, or they're dude bros who think it's cool to kill a lot of people.
Well, the big thing that I took away from this episode in terms of Fitz and Simmons is that Fitz is alive, Simmons is alive, but I think Fitzsimmons is dead.
Yeah.
I would officially no. I think for good, I think Fitzsimmons is dead. Like, they will both be there, and they may eventually work together, but Fitzsimmons, the way we knew them, is never coming back.
That makes sense because as characters, they can't really go anywhere if they were still Fitzsimmons all the way through. I mean, they can grow now in different directions in different ways.
And I think that's a big kind of reoccurring theme actually for this season is we can't go back to the way things used to be. You know, we're trying to put S.H.I.E.L.D. back together, but everyone's changed. Everything is different. The world is different.
And, you know, as much as people really like seeing these two characters together, I have to admit, it's far more narratively interesting to have them be at odds because they can grow in ways that we never could have imagined.
Exactly.
And also, you start pairing them with characters that maybe you wouldn't have seen them with. Like having Fitz find an ally in Mac who outwardly seems like this big, buff, you know, teddy bear dude, but still, like not necessarily the Fitz buddy that we assumed. He rides a motorcycle and repairs it in his spare time. Come on.
Perfect. Like
it is pretty awesome.
It's either that
or Fitz is gonna be holding him from behind as they ride on the motorcycle through a field of flowers.
Kanye's music video parody done.
Bam.
He was kind of checking him out in the last episode.
It's true.
I don't blame him.
I mean, it's either that or you go the way that they already said, like the S.H.I.E.L.D. comic that's coming in the fall or in the winter, where if they give Fitz a monkey.
What?
Yeah, in the S.H.I.E.L.D. comic book that's coming out. It's not a TV show parallel.
Okay, so it's not canon.
This is
it's not canon
they're taking the characters because these are original characters on S.H.I.E.L.D. that they're putting into the Marvel 616 universe.
Got it.
So they're putting Fitz and Coulson and like I think May. I don't know who else on this little team in a S.H.I.E.L.D. book, and Fitz has a monkey.
That's so rad. I love that. That's so cool. I love that they're migrating from the MCU to another Marvel universe. That's pretty
a lot of comic characters get to do that, and so it's wonderful that we get to see that be a thing. Harley Quinn started out that way.
It's true.
Yeah, Chloe Sullivan on Smallville was eventually brought into the comics.
Oh.
Yeah. So, any closing thoughts on Fitzsimmons and Mac? I mean, the last thing, the one question that Fitz didn't get to ask before Simmons summarily stormed off was how do you feel about me? I told you this thing about how I feel about you, and you never said anything. You never said anything about it. Anything. Like that's the thing. Is like, yeah, I get that you left. Was it because of work or was it because of that? And that's the one thing that she has yet to address with anyone on the series.
Yeah.
And you know, if Bobby's looking for girl talk, I want to see some Bobby Simmons girl talk so we can find out how Simmons actually feels.
Well, you know, it's a great sort of not parallel because they're so different, but there's two couples sort of getting back into the same place. But what happens now? We have Fitz and Simmons, and we have Bobby and Hunter.
Oh no. Matt just had a thought. Now I know that we've been getting teased this Sky Hunter sexual tension all season, and now we have Bobby Hunter. But what about Simmons Hunter? Simmons Hunter, where they have nothing in common. They have nothing in common.
It's just animalistic.
Just weird. I mean, it makes no sense on the face of it, but some of the best TV romances make no sense.
You know what makes less sense and is almost more fun?
What?
Bobby and Fitz.
I don't get it at all. Oh my god, that'd be so weird.
I'm gonna say that's not gonna happen.
Okay.
But I love the idea.
I'm not predicting it because it's insane. It makes no sense. But bits
The
could
fan
be a
fiction
thing.
already exists out there, I'm sure.
Sure it does.
Sure, it's
Somebody
been
on the
shipped.
internet, what is it, Rule 84?
Rule 34.
Rule 34. Somebody Rule 34 this.
No,
No,
thanks.
we don't.
Let's
Please
not.
don't share that
Maybe,
with us.
No.
Please don't share that with
Okay,
us.
so yeah, we don't need fake porn.
But
So
it is interesting, though, that both Fitz and Simmons are having difficulty communicating, but in far different ways.
yes, it's true. We got to move on, however, to we talked a little bit about Sky and Ward. I want to just wrap up their story. The scenes between Ward and Coulson were really, really intense. Really intense
Yeah.
and necessary. And it continues to shock me just how brutal their attitude towards Ward is, but it's the truth. They don't know any of the reasons why he joined Hydra. He is a traitor. He is a traitor who got many of their people killed, who killed other agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., he has no reason to show him mercy.
No.
And when he says, I'm handing you over to your brother, you were a pawn, and now your brother is a more valuable pawn. That's the thing. I don't think that necessarily when Coulson makes this deal with Christian Ward, he believes him in any way about Ward at all. But what I do believe is regardless of whether or not he believes him, he accepts that it is worth it more to have this senator on his side and not do this massive anti-S.H.I.E.L.D. bill than it is to keep Grant Ward in their basement.
Yeah, I mean, Ward's been helpful, but I feel like he's clearly running out of stuff to help them with. Mm-hmm. There's not he's admitted that he wasn't never really deep in Hydra. So he's given up what he can. My only thought, though, on Coulson and Ward is maybe Coulson planned on him escaping. I feel like Coulson is too smart to just put him in handcuffs knowing what he is capable of. Because breaking out of basic handcuffs like that is like S.H.I.E.L.D. agent training 101.
But at the end, you see Ward shoot one of the guys that was in the truck with him. Are those S.H.I.E.L.D. ex-agents? I mean, would he...
They are S.H.I.E.L.D. agents.
Would he risk them?
When you're a director, you have to make hard decisions.
That's true.
Well,
but when he heard how many S.H.I.E.L.D. agents died in Bruges, he seemed kind of devastated.
Well, those were agents that were lost because of his mistake to make the decision. Still hard, perhaps even harder, but that's his job.
And we didn't see the agent die, so they could have been loaded with night bullets. For all
Icer bullets. We don't call it a night-night gun anymore.
I like night-night.
Night-night's too juvenile.
Yes.
But that was an intense moment when he breaks out of there. It looks like he's just fidgeting. I wasn't sure.
And I'm like, hell yeah.
I was cringing. It was gross.
I loved it.
You can see it coming. You're like, oh, it's going to snap. And then you hear it. You're like, it just snapped.
When he kept closing his eyes, I fully expected him to open them and we would actually see something change. Like we would see like a flash of red or something.
He would have red eyes.
That'd be pretty crazy. And then we close on this new character played by Bran Van Holt of Cougar Town fame in an entirely different attitude as this dude who's just covered in map tattoos. And he's getting more of them, and he's actually guiding the tattoo artist by memory of this stuff. So obviously he's got some Cree blood in him.
I thought he was pressing it harder because he liked the pain.
I think it was both.
No, yeah, I thought he was like, because he clearly knows what this thing is, so he's like, oh my God. It almost felt like it's like some weird, like almost ghost-like thing.
Yeah. Oh, my love, my map.
Grin on his face.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he said that he didn't mind the pain because it helps him remember. So yeah, push it so that it hurts a little bit more.
He's being called the stranger by someone.
Okay.
Like, you're just unhelpful. I'm trying to look up if there's any.
Sky's dad was just called the doctor for a while.
Well, then maybe he's another Cree.
Probably.
Or whatever the doctor is, maybe he's another one.
Maybe he's the guy who carved on the back of that painting in church.
That's what I was wondering.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
And he ran out of painting backs, so he's just using his body now.
Yeah.
It's possible. All right, folks, I think it's time that we move into news and gossip.
AfterBuzz TV News.
So much news.
So much news. Before we get into that, I want to talk briefly about the Avengers 2 trailer, whether you watched it this weekend or you saw the new scene tonight and the rest of the trailer. I love the look of this trailer. I think that Joss Whedon has really stepped up his visual style. A lot of people complained about the Avengers movie looking a little flat. You know, the color palette is very muted. I love the international scope. It's definitely a lot darker and a lot grittier. Hopefully not too dark.
This is the a story that Whedon has wanted to tell since he took on the Avengers. He said so. He's like, as soon as they said that we're doing Avengers, the second one had to be Ultron. That's his favorite villain.
Wow.
So like he's gonna treat it right.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna be epic.
Yeah, and I love the scene that we saw tonight. Very funny.
Funny.
Yeah.
Oh my! Well, it's funny because that's kind of a running joke with Marvel stuff. Is that it's not about strength; it's about worthiness with Thor's hammer. Because we've had multiple characters try to pick it up before, but I think this is the only time we've seen them all in a room together, drunk, trying to pick it up.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
I love when Thor was like, it's simple, really. You're all not worthy, and they're all just like, whatever.
My favorite moment was when Steve Rogers goes to pick it up and it budges.
And then Thor's like kind of like,
Yeah.
oh shit. Oh, I don't like that. Yeah. It was great. Cool, man.
There's so much in there to like tease this, like Mark Ruffalo, like you see Bruce Banner like almost like falling to the ground like in a ball.
Mm-hmm.
Like what? That guy has been, like, Bruce Banner has been through so much.
Yeah.
What could possibly drive him to that? Like, he's killed lots of people as the Hulk. Like, what drives him to that point where he's curled up in a ball?
I have no idea.
And what could possibly break Captain America's shield?
Well,
There's a theory.
Yeah, I think I know what it is.
I can build this theory from like
I know what it is.
big point if you want me to.
Do we want to throw up a spoiler alert sound effect?
Spoiler alert!
Yeah,
Spoiler alert.
Pretty big spoilers. It is all
alert.
speculation. I'll say that, and some bit from the comics.
Yeah, if you are worried about spoilers, maybe skip 2 minutes into the future.
Yeah.
You won't miss the stuff about the contest.
Okay, today at the Marvel event, Kevin Feige said that there is a Black Panther Easter egg in this trailer, and so people immediately started going, and basically they picked out that Andy Serkis, who appears in it for a moment, is playing Ulysses Claw, who is a Black Panther villain of sorts. He steals vibranium from the
Wakanda.
vibranium mine, which is vibranium is only found in Wakanda.
Now, vibranium, of course, is the substance that Captain America's shield is made out of.
Yes,
Yeah.
and the only things that I believe can break it are, I think, maybe adamantium, which is Wolverine's metal.
Yeah.
But
Right.
we don't have. I don't think that's legally Disney
Right.
can touch that.
It's not going to be.
But Ultron, in a lot of his forms, is made up of vibranium. Like, he basically upgrades himself until he gets his hands on vibranium and makes himself unstoppable by making his whole body out of the same material
Oh my God.
that
That's
Cap's
not
shield
good.
is.
That's what he was kind of pouring all over himself, right? In the first trailer.
Yeah, in the teaser trailer
In the
released
teaser
over the
trailer,
weekend,
you could see
there's that shot.
liquefied metal coming over the rest of, as he was restructuring himself.
I saw that and I had this information in my brain, but I did not connect the two until that.
Yeah, smart.
Wow, thanks.
Yeah, so lots of cool stuff. Obviously, the creepy I Ain't Got No Strings.
So Disney.
Yeah.
I've been singing it for a week.
And we're singing it nonstop after the show.
Gotta love that Disney synergy. All right, so it's now time to talk about the Marvel event today. Tell us about it, Zach. You were there on the ground.
Okay, I was
So
up in the
jealous.
balcony, so. But Kevin Feige comes out, like, there's who better to see basically with Steve Jobs.
Yeah.
He just, like, stood in front of, like, a black screen and was like, today, I'm going to show you, but there's more. And he, like, played out that, like, slate of, like, untitled. And he dropped all of the movies that they're going to be releasing. First, the best thing was when he dropped the Captain America 3. He's like, it's like Captain America 3, Serpent Society, and then he just keeps going. And then he waited until the end, and he brought it back, and he just comes out, you know what? I'm having some buyer's remorse about this title. I don't know if I like Serpent Society. Why don't we change it? And then he, like, clicks, and Civil War comes
And it's just
up.
like in huge letters.
And the audience explodes. Minds exploded. But he, and then they brought out Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans to have this little, like, you should join my side, you should join my side. And then they announced Chadwick Boseman, who comes out, and they announce him as Black Panther, T'Challa.
Yeah.
Jackie Robinson in 42, if you're not sure who
And
that
James
is.
Brown and Get On Up.
Yes.
Cool.
Great casting. I think
Yeah.
it'll be really, and they're like, they had a back and forth about, like, join my side. And he is, and that basically Feige confirmed Black Panther is going to make his first appearance and be a large part of Civil War.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, so
Okay.
that's going to be a big thing. But then he announced the other big events, the movies that are coming out, which It's got Thor Ragnarok is coming. Guardians of the Galaxy 2 changed its release date. It moved it up.
It's a two-parter.
Oh no, that's Avengers 3. Is
Yeah.
a two-parter.
What did you say?
Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
Okay, yeah.
Guardians got moved up, and he announced Captain Marvel.
Yes!
And immediately, because people were like, which one's it gonna be? He's like, I know there's a bunch of them. We're doing Carol Danvers.
And explosion! First Marvel solo female-led movie.
yeah, and
About time.
yeah, DC's
gonna
gonna
be a
beat
good
them to the
one.
first female superhero movie by a year, but I think Captain Marvel
wow.
might be better. I'm a big Wonder Woman fan too,
Yeah.
but I think that Carol Danvers is such an interesting character. I think there's a lot there. Obviously, you announced Black Panther. We talked a little bit about Ant-Man. The one that's most important to S.H.I.E.L.D., though, to what we've been talking about on this panel, is Inhumans. He announced, he's like, we're going to drop a dozen new characters on you in 2018.
Yeah.
That tells me all of our Inhuman theories go out the window today.
Because that's the thing, is they would basically be saying, we know that this show will be running for like 6 years.
But not even beyond that, like if you dropped something about the Inhumans now, and like the big payoff, like the characters people know at least a little bit, are 4 years out, that's too much. They're not going to want to hold that thing in the background for 4 years.
That
Well, I
makes
think it's just
sense.
because they didn't have any room on the release schedule any sooner. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's possible. It could confirm or deny those theories. I also want to mention that he did say that Thor Ragnarok would redefine the franchise in the
Yes.
same way that Captain America the Winter Soldier redefined what the Captain America franchise would be like.
Yeah, he did.
And that Thor and Loki would return.
Yes, both of them are coming back, and then that all builds up with Guardians, with all that, into the Infinity Gauntlet.
Yeah, Avengers Infinity War
I'm so
Part
excited
1,
for
and then a
that.
year later Infinity War Part 2 in summer 2018, summer 2019.
That's what I was
Yeah.
most excited about, because I love the Infinity Gauntlet, and I love the fact that it's going to involve both Guardians and the Avengers.
But here's
And
the
just
thing.
to have Thanos in the middle of all that's going to be
If
awesome.
it's going to be 2 movies, it's because it's not just the Avengers and the Guardians. It's going to be the Avengers, the Guardians, and Ant-Man, and Black Panther, and the Defenders from Netflix, and the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. It's going to be everything.
It can be nothing but epic.
That's
Yeah.
what I keep waiting on, is when are our Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. characters going to be confirmed for anything, like on the big screen? Like, are they
That would
going
be
to
the
pop
only
up? Is somebody going to pop up in Ultron? Even for a moment. I
mean,
feel like it has to
We got a
happen.
glimpse of Samuel L. Jackson, excuse me, in the trailer. It would be nice if Coulson popped up again. That would be great.
That's like a whole storyline, though. I feel like Coulson will pop up again. Only Coulson will pop up again in Civil War.
Agreed.
Are they going to risk that, though, seeing that maybe not as many people watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.?
Well, if it's Coulson is a movie character first. So if they're going to bring him back in the movies, I feel like that can happen naturally. Bringing some of the other characters from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. to a movie from TV is a bit more problematic. But
But you could have him being like, I've been trying to pull S.H.I.E.L.D. back together, while you guys have been messing around.
Yeah, and also I think that they can be written in a way that very carefully makes them easy to understand functions of a plot for a movie if you haven't seen the show, but also give a little fan service for fans of the show who are now seeing them in a movie.
Yeah, but that's why it has to be Captain America, because that is the one movie that has S.H.I.E.L.D. so built into it, especially after 2, that bringing Coulson in, it'll take you a minute to explain it to people who don't watch the show that this guy survived, but I think depending on what we do to Coulson going forward until then, because that's years away.
Yeah, and you don't even have to give a full explanation for it. Just he survived and science.
Yeah. All right, folks. So before we end, you can kill that news and gossip music. I just want to tell you about our iTunes review contest for the Black Panther poster. Do you mind? I'm gonna hold it up right here. This beautiful Black Panther one sheet that is exclusive, that was only handed out today at the Marvel event, could be yours if you write an iTunes review for our show between now and next Tuesday. That's next Tuesday, November 4th, I believe. Next Tuesday, November 4th. And in that review, you need to tell us what Marvel project announced at today's event you are most excited about and why, and we're going to be choosing our favorite response to receive this poster. Now, we're going to be asking that the winner contact us via Twitter, so you should also have a Twitter account in order to be able to play, but this thing is a beauty. You're going to want to get your hands on it.
Yeah.
So let's get those reviews coming, people. You want to win some art?
And make sure you don't wait till the last minute because iTunes reviews do not go up automatically.
That's true. You want to do it as soon as possible.
Yeah.
All right. So let's do predictions real quick. Let's wrap it up.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
So, what do we think's going on next week, people?
Coulson in a CAT scan.
Yeah, I mean, when I saw that and I saw Skye face him with, she was holding a gun, right? She was pointing a gun at
she
him
was totally
while he was
pointing a
about to
gun.
go in there. I feel like maybe that point was her last straw. Like, you need to stop running circles around the elephant in the room every time we're together. And maybe he was trying to do a CAT scan to find out something about himself that she could easily have or should know about. So I don't know, maybe it was kind of like, you need to stop. Tell me what you're doing. Tell me why you're doing it and why I'm not doing it too.
I think maybe she was pointing a gun at him in a strange way to try to protect him. Like what he was about to do was actually going to hurt himself. Like it was going to do more harm than good.
Well, we see that the map is almost complete, and I have to imagine that he's pretty obsessed with completing it and trying to understand it. So it's possible he could be doing something untoward. What do you think, Zach?
I think it's going to trigger because like whatever he was hiding from himself. Was like something about knowing that this is a part of you will drive you nuts. Will like send you over the edge. I think next week we're going to see him go over the edge.
Very cool.
And then he's like, while he's losing it, he tries to give himself a scan, and that's when we get that, and like we'll find out more of what it's doing. They gave us another flash of that Kree body,
Yeah.
so I have to think that they're going to at least explain a little bit more about what's going on there.
All right. Wonderful. So, folks, thank you so much for joining us this week on the podcast. We will be here next Tuesday night to recap the next episode. Actually, no. You know what? There's in 2 weeks. So, folks, you actually have 2 weeks to send in your reviews. We will be not here next week. We will be here
so
the
by
following
the
week by November 11th. So you want to get them in as soon as possible. Megan Salinas, where can the people find you? Gosh darn it.
You can follow me on Twitter at The Menguin. That's TheMenguin. And I'm also on a bunch of shows here at AfterBuzz.
Okay, Joyce Ajouri.
You guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram at JAJOURI, and on the Sunday night Walking Dead podcast and Monday night's Gotham podcast.
And Zach.
And you guys catch me on Twitter at @ZachWilson, and here at AfterBuzz on Grimm. We've got a really exciting interview coming up this Sunday. Claire Coffey, if you watch that show, tune in. Resurrection, Z Nation, Doctor Who, and Doctor Who Classics. Thank you guys.
Okay, and you can find me on Twitter at Matt Lieberman, MattLieberman. You can find all my videos for SourceFed Nerd, and my personal channel on YouTube, youtube.com/Matthew D. Lieberman. I want to thank you all so much for joining us. We'll see you in 2 weeks. Good night.
Bye.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Bye. See you later. The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.